I think we're good and we're live here. It's always so exciting to me. All right, yes, good. And let me know if you hear me. Let me know how the audio is coming through. I'm tuning in from San Diego this morning. Josie, great to see you. New York, that's where I'm from actually. I have a story I'll share in just a little bit. Thank you, Violet. Appreciate it. Oh, all the people from New York. Tom, I love it. Okay, wonderful. All right, wonderful, Mariah. You're just a couple hours north of me. Morning, John from San Francisco. Kay from Palm Springs. Let's just take a few moments here. And something, quite honestly, I love to do before I do any live sessions is really call attention to the miracle, in the way that I see it at least, of all of us coming together. You know, I still remember the days, and I'm sure many people here do too as well, where doing this, tuning in live for with people from all over the world wasn't a thing. It wasn't possible, and I like to remind myself of being grateful for that. It's really beautiful to be able to be here with you all. It is 10 a.m. my time, but I know it's different times throughout the world. Ruby from Ontario, welcome. Jose from New York. So there's a couple things I'd love to do today. This is my first live session with Insight Timer. I plan on doing a whole bunch actually in 2021. I've been doing these on my own for a while. Claudia, oh, so great to see you. And excited now to do these with Insight Timer. And if you have a particular topic that you'd like for me to cover this year, please let me know. There's a whole range of topics that I can cover that I work on with my clients that I'm happy to bring here to Insight Timer. And today, what I wanted to do was start 2021 off with a 5-minute ritual that has been a foundation. Thank you for the love. That has been a foundation for my own personal practice, actually. I'm turning 36 in a couple days. So this has been going on for about 10 years, because I've been married about 10 years and I started it then. And I kept this ritual secret actually for quite some time. And why I did that was because, well, I grew up in a family that this type of communication, talking about meditation, talking about energy centers, talking about manifestation, that wasn't really a thing that was okay in the culture that I grew up in. So I kept it secret. And it was my little secret for a while, and it worked. And I started to share it and ask other people about it. And I found out that there were other people in the world that were practicing a similar practice, and great things manifested because of it. And it's a very empowering practice. Today, I want to cover the basics, what I call stage one. There's other ways that you can take this practice, so I want to invite anyone who's listening, if you have any particular questions, or maybe you've been doing this practice for a while, you're welcome to send me a message through Insight Timer. You can also send me an email and just ask specifics about it. I'm happy to share a little bit more about how you could personalize this practice for your life. But what to expect for today is I'm going to share with you the 5-minute ritual. And it's a 5-minute ritual that I strongly encourage you to do at the beginning of the day, what I call springtime, which is the sunrise, and at nighttime, which is as we enter into winter, right, at dusk. And it really only takes about 5 minutes. It might take you a little bit longer when you're just getting used to it, because there's connections in the brain that need to occur for you to be able to hold the different elements of the visualization. So have some patience. That's why I say that this goes in stages. And today we're going to go over stage one. So I come from a background, I always tell people I have a master's degree in learning. My background is in education, and I really love developmental psychology. Carol Dweck's done a lot of great work talking about mindset. Angela Duckworth has talked a lot about grit. And Abraham Maslow back in the day, and Wayne Dyer, these were people, and Joseph Campbell, these were people that talked about how we can continue to develop in our lives. So I come from a very scientific background, a very Western background, and it was in around my late teens, 19, 20 years old, that I got introduced to meditation, Zen meditation. And I started to see the parallels between the Eastern and the Western worlds. I started to see how what Abraham Maslow was talking about was very similar to what Jung was talking about. And what Jung was talking about, or Carl Jung, is very similar to what Kundalini and the different energy centers talked about in different Vedic practices. And I started to see these parallels that are really beautiful. So that's what I bring into this practice. Any questions so far, just so I can check in? Melda from New Zealand, another Kiwi. I love it. Wonderful. Welcome. I'm reading a great book, actually, by a Kiwi called Shanta Ram. If you are looking for a good book to read, it's fantastic. Lance from Nashville, welcome. One of my new favorite artists is from Nashville, actually, Chris Stapleton. Okay. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll gladly address them. This is meant to be interactive. It's not just meant to be a lecture. I'm going to talk for about the first 10 to 15 minutes about the practice itself, and then I'm going to, at the end of it, guide you through it, and it'll take about 5 minutes, and then I'll take some questions at the end, and we should wrap up at around 30 after the hour. Okay, so first, step one, what I'm talking about here is Abraham Maslow talked about the hierarchy of needs. And if you're not familiar with it, the basic elements is he talked about as he used a pyramid actually as the example, that there's different foundational needs that we need in our life for us to be able to achieve what he called self-actualization, right? In yoga, we would call it, I guess, the bliss body. And in other words, it's just your greatest self. And it starts off with your safety, your security, your self-esteem, the things that if you were raised in a loving home, in a community that empowered you, that you would have achieved, right? If everything went according to plan. There's always something, right? Sometimes there's elements of trauma, sometimes some developmental tasks just were shamed out of people. So we sort of have to, as adults, we go back and we take a look at, well, what gaps do we need to fill in there? But Maslow talked about those different hierarchy of needs for us to reach what he called self-actualization. So safety, security, self-esteem, love and relationships, community, purpose, a vision, and then this beautiful place called self-actualization where you are really, really owning your gifts and you're really leading an authentic life that is in integrity with your soul, with your mission here, what you feel called to do. The words that you speak are in a direct alignment with your heart, with your soul, and you're loved and you're seen because of that. And it's a very beautiful place to live in. And the goal here is to do that, is to be able to live your life from that place of deep integrity, especially in 2021 after 2020 brought us quite a few surprises. Okay, Sunday from Flagstaff, welcome. Patty from Nova Scotia, love it. I was born in Buffalo, New York, so I consider myself half Canadian. Love to have you here. Gigi from Hollywood, Carrie, Toronto as well with the maple leaf. Love it. Okay, Neha, self-realization before God realization. Interesting. We could have a good conversation on that. I don't see too much difference between those two. But I don't want to get caught in the weeds here because words could always mean so much relative to the individual. Karen from Maryland. Okay. So let's go over the energy centers, what I'm talking about here. They're also called chakras. For my fellow yogis out here, you're very familiar with them. And if you have any questions about them, feel free to drop them in the comments here. So the 7 chakras or 7 energy centers that I'm going to be talking about is starting off actually at the root. And at the root of your spine is I'm going to ask you to imagine a red glowing ball of light. And red is your root. And the root chakra, or the root energy center, at that space I'm going to ask you to feel connected to the earth below your feet. And sometimes what's even helpful is I've started to feel and imagine roots growing from my feet into the soil beneath my feet. And it's absolutely powerful. And I'll tell you that if you continue this practice, you'll see in different areas of the world where you are, you'll feel the difference with the ground beneath your feet. It's really powerful. So red root, it's feeling rooted into the ground beneath your feet. You may feel even what it was like as a young child, having all of your needs taken care for you. You know, Wayne Dyer said it beautifully that the first 9 months of our lives, everything is offered. Everything is given to you. Your food, shelter, water is just supplied by the natural womb of a woman. And I have a new baby boy that my wife is actually nursing right now, and he is just turning 2 months. And at that stage, everything is taken care of. Everything is taken care of for you. And so that's what the root is talking about. It's feeling really deeply rooted, deeply taken care of, deeply nourished, just like the roots are nourished in the land. So that's what the red root stands for. Orange, moving up to just below the navel, is your sacral energy center. And that is safety to be the real you. It's a deeply powerful place for you to really walk into the world authentically as you, maybe even creating into the world. It would be around like 5 years old, if you remember what that age was like, or if you have a niece or nephew or son or daughter. Just take a look and watch a 5-year-old, or maybe even go to the playground like I do, or the park, and just watch them run around. We have a beautiful park just down the street from my place. And these 5-year-olds, they run around and they just laugh and they giggle and they play. And they're just fully, authentically themselves. They don't question, is this okay to say? Is this going to get me shamed? At that age, they just run around and they just goof and they roll. They see leaves. Oh, I love this. They just see leaves and they just jump into the leaves. And they just let themselves be. And this is what, as adults, that we work so hard to achieve, right? We try to come back to this sense of being. Sarah Blondin does wonderful work here on Insta Timer, and she brings us back to our wild, natural self. My wife, I love the way she words it. She says, bringing people home. And at that age, at around 5 years oldish, is when we really know that, and that's around the time where we really develop that sacral energy center, that orange glowing ball of light just below the navel. The next is moving on up to right here, the solar plexus. And that is, I want you to imagine yellow. I'm going to ask you to imagine a yellow ball of light right there. And I might even say, imagine it glowing brighter with each breath. And the yellow of the solar plexus is confidence, it's self-esteem, it's self-efficacy. It's your belief in yourself. It's the belief that, or the idea that you believe that you can achieve anything, right? Especially when you're on here, on Insight Timer, where so much of what we're talking about is really stepping into your full authenticity or self-realization. It's believing that you have the abilities to do it, you have the skills to do it, and that you believe in whatever it is that you need will always be right there on your path, whether it's delivered from God or Source or from others in this beautiful world. It's a very powerful place to walk from. It's around our teenage years where that gets really challenged, right? And sometimes as teenagers, we have extreme confidence, so much confidence. And then maybe the next day, that confidence wanes. Solar plexus is around our teenage years where we really develop that area. And so what I might offer to you is the visualization of, for the yellow chakra, is standing on stage. Maybe it's giving a TED Talk. Maybe it's just standing on a stage in front of your peers. But standing on that stage and feeling the warmth of a spotlight on you. And for any of my fellow actors or anyone else that's ever been on stage, you know that warmth, that feeling. That's why we often wear stage makeup. So you feel that warmth from the spotlight and feeling confident in standing there, feeling that you earned that stage. You didn't take it. You were asked to go on that stage because you have a beautiful, story to share with the world. A beautiful, powerful message. Haley from Beverly Hills, welcome. Chloe, welcome. So that's your yellow solar plexus right here. Moving on up to the heart, the part that we as a collective are working on right now, that 2020 brought us in full with full steam. The green heart chakra. Such a powerful place. Especially for men, with the men that I work with a lot of times, taking them here and really working in the heart space is so powerful because it's scary. It's so scary in this world sometimes. Maybe not for everyone here. For me it was growing up. It's a scary place to operate from. But when we are able to operate and really fully feel our heart chakra, our heart energy center, and you imagine that green ball of light just glowing there, it is so comforting. And what I like to refer to it as is receiving love and sharing your love without fear. Love can be terrifying, right? It's scary to really open your heart to someone, especially if you've been hurt before. And we've all experienced heartbreak. It's pretty hard to go throughout life and not experience that. But that feeling of being able to open, trusting again, that's talking again to the yellow, right, to the solar plexus, trusting in yourself to love deeply, and then feeling that love. It's a powerful, powerful place. And there's a lot of self-love in there as well, right? A lot of really talking to your inner child. A lot of the men that I work with, I have them talk to their inner child, their inner boy, the little boy that's still living inside of them. And when you hug that little child of yourself, right? Maybe you have a pillow that you have a practice where you can hug your inner child every day and you say, I love you, you're so powerful, I appreciate you, you're beautiful. That's the heart chakra. And it is, even as I'm talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps because it's such a beautiful place to live, right? So I might ask you to imagine the feeling of being hugged, such as maybe even having a great gathering. I love gathering people at my place for a big conversation. Haven't had that in a little while due to 2020, but looking forward to having that again with a big table, 15, 20 people over for a great meal. And just imagine friends and family coming together, having a lovely conversation. So that's the green, the heart chakra, the heart energy center. You might even imagine laughter. Laughter at that space as well is really powerful. Moving on up to this area, to the throat. Imagine the color sky blue, or like a light blue, or like a robin's egg blue. Right here, glowing bright at this center. And this is integrity. This area right here represents being able to speak your truth, being able to speak with integrity. So down here, we might have the confidence. We might gain the confidence in who we are. But if that stays on the inside, it could be a torment to us if we don't externalize that. And maybe some people here that are tuning in, you know what I'm talking about, because if you come to these spiritual awakenings, you come to this new identity, maybe even 2020 was a cocoon for you where you sort of emerged into a new identity. Yet if you don't take that identity into the world, if you don't externalize that, it could be really difficult. And so up here, the sky blue throat chakra, throat energy center, is where we work on that. So I might ask you to imagine the feeling of speaking your truth, speaking with compassion for others and yourself, especially if there's disagreement. This could be a conversation that you need to have with some people. You might even imagine, again, being on that stage and speaking your truth and hearing applause and hearing people appreciate what it is that you have to say. And then up here as well, which is really significant for a lot of people, is you might speak with integrity to others and you might speak with love to others. But speaking with love and integrity to yourself as well. So you might imagine staring into a mirror. And maybe even in your life as well, do this, and I do this often. stare into my own eyes and say, I love you, I appreciate you. But here, that's the feeling that you want to have, this speaking with integrity, speaking with truth, unbridled truth, not holding back. Sometimes they're powerful words when you have a powerful conversation. Yeah, Josie, the throat chakra is hard. It's hard because it's externalization, right? Meditation is so great. I love meditation. And meditation would be a heck of a lot easier, and yoga would be a heck of a lot easier if it was just us. And if it was just us on the mat, us on our zabuton, zafu, and meditating. But we live in a world, we're social creatures, we want connection. So the throat chakra is how we bring that internal awareness to external action. It's a powerful place, very powerful. I get excited talking about it. The next, moving on up, third eye, just above the nose bridge right here. The color indigo is what I'm going to ask you to imagine. I think of often like my favorite color in the world actually is when I watch the sun set on the ocean and I see the light blue turn to a dark indigo blue. It's a beautiful, beautiful color. So you're going to imagine an indigo blue right here, glowing brighter with each breath. And this is being connected to your path and walking it, right? So it's similar to the throat chakra in terms of speaking your truth, but this is actually walking it. And you're going to imagine actually walking along a path and owning that, feeling that you're actually making choices in your life that are yours. You're not just being told what to do by mommy and daddy or by a government or by a school or by an employer. You're actually living with integrity, living within your spinal column. That's the feeling that we're talking about, confidence. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, but it's in alignment with your soul. And that's what's so beautiful about the third eye. It's not just egoic. It's not just down here in who you are and your identity in this earth. It's connected to who you were before this life, maybe who you are going to be after. It's connected to it sees and feels beyond the veil, right? Sometimes we even will communicate or feel the presence of our angels or our loved ones who have passed on. This is connection between our physical lives and our causal bodies, our spiritual bodies, our soul presence. It's absolutely beautiful. And what I love about this area that's really powerful that I just want to mention is that this is where manifestation comes to life. Because once you turn everything on and you attract source into your life to bring you that which you're asking for, that which you are calling into your life, this is where you become aware of the signs. Wayne Dyer called it the miracles that he saw every day. It's absolutely amazing. It's a conversation that all of a sudden comes out of nowhere. It's that deja vu feeling. It's that intuition, that intuitive decision making that might not make sense on a spreadsheet, but you know in your heart of hearts that that's the decision to make. So the third eye is so, so incredibly powerful. Julian, lucky me in San Diego, you say. Well, I used to live in New York and I love New York as well. So San Diego is beautiful, but I want to be honest and just say that it's different. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Happy to be here, but it's just as beautiful as other places as well. Okay, lastly is up your crown chakra, right? You're going to imagine the color violet, just about right above the head, right? And this is where you feel connected to a higher power. This is a powerful, powerful place to come to awareness, because it's not just, here's the difference, it's not just going to a church or going to a temple or even going to a monastery and meditating with monks. It's and being told that there is a God out there, or there's a source out there, or there's the universe guiding you. That's all great when you read it in a book. Up here, when this is on, you feel it. And I think it was Carl Jung actually, who said, he was asked, do you believe in God? And he took a while to answer the question. And he said, yes, because I feel God. I feel source. And that is this up here, when you feel the connection. And it could be jarring when this wakes up, when this part of you wakes up, because all of a sudden, it's not just what you read in the book, it's oh my goodness, this is different. Especially if it's different from your background. Especially if it's different from what your parents taught you or your school taught you or what the culture teaches you. It's a powerful place. So I'm going to imagine you feeling, ask you to imagine feeling connected to a higher power, higher connection, and a divine guiding source, receiving gifts and wisdom from spiritual realms. It could be your angels, also just waking up to past life realizations as well. It's a very powerful place. Okay. Any questions before we move on? Yeah, Carlson. So thank you. Great question. Carlson asks, these chakras seem to somewhat align with Maslow's hierarchy. That's exactly what this is. And it's a realization that I had in my background in education. My background's in developmental psychology and the science of learning education. And what I was so in awe of was seeing the connections between the Western and the Eastern worlds in terms of Maslow's hierarchy, directly correlated, the way I saw it, to the energy centers, to the chakra system. Yeah. I mean, there's nuances, of course, right? But it filtered through the worldview of Maslow. It's very, very similar. Yeah, it's a great question. James, a great question. Do you work with the chakra above, Holy Dove, God, Soul, Halo? Yes, I'm aware. This practice that I'm talking about is again level 1. There's different ways that you can take this practice. And of course, there's different schools of thoughts as well with the chakras. The next stages would be talking about as well the front chakra and the back chakra. It's a little complicated. What I kind of want to focus on here is, again, going back to what I mentioned at the beginning. Karen, the color of the crown is violet. So there's a neuroplasticity that needs to happen in the brain when you hold these visualizations and you move through each center. So it's going to take a little bit of practice, but then eventually you'll be able to add in some nuances. It's not much different than juggling. A good friend of mine teaches play and improvisation. And so it's very similar to juggling, where you can start with 2 balls. And then all of a sudden, once you get good at that, you can throw in a third. And that takes a little while to get used to. And then eventually you're like, okay, I get it. And then you can throw in a 4th and then a 5th. And you're able to make these new connections. And it's an infinite game. It's a beautiful, beautiful game to play. Okay. So let's go into it. Does that sound good? All right. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. And if you're just tuning in here, I'll walk you through the steps. And the first step is to go ahead and just deepen into your breath. Breathing in through your nose if possible. And then out, exhaling through your mouth. Inhaling through your nose. Exhaling through your mouth. Inhaling. Exhale. And now I'm going to ask you to imagine an elevator appearing at your third eye, just above the nose bridge. And you're going to walk into that elevator. Feel the elevator start to move as you descend down the spine. And slowly feel the elevator move throughout your spine, coming beneath, behind your nose, behind your mouth, behind your heart, solar plexus, sacral, and then it arrives at the root of your spine. And at the root of your spine, I want you to imagine now feeling and seeing a red glowing light that glows brighter with each breath. Feel this light, the heat of this red at the root of your spine, and feel rooted into the ground beneath your feet. Maybe even imagine roots reaching deep into the soil beneath your feet. The roots receiving nourishment from the soil, from Mother Earth. And then the elevator moves up now to the sacral, just below the belly button. And imagine a glowing, bright orange light. Feel the heat of the orange light just behind and below the navel. And imagine the feeling of being authentically you. Maybe it's a childhood memory, that feeling of being a child and jumping into leaves, running around, laughing. The security to be unabashedly yourself. And then the elevator moves up just a little bit more to the solar plexus. And you imagine a glowing, bright yellow light. And imagine the feeling of owning your gifts. Full, unbridled confidence in your creative talents. You might imagine standing on a stage and feeling the warmth of a spotlight on your face. You might imagine an empty canvas in front of you and painting on that canvas, and just the muse whispering into your ear as you paint on the canvas, creating a beautiful, beautiful painting. Being a conduit for source guidance. And the elevator moves up and it comes to the chest, the heart center. And you imagine a glowing green light. Feel the warmth of this glowing green light deepening into your breath. And imagine just being loved, maybe being held in an embrace. Feeling the love, receiving the love. You might laugh. And imagine having friends and family over for a meal. Feel the warmth in your chest, receiving love, giving love. And then moving on to the throat, the elevator moves up and you imagine a bright and warm, light blue, sky blue light right here. And you might return again to that stage and imagine yourself speaking your truth, being in integrity with who you really are. You might even imagine a conversation that you need to have in your life, and you speak the words that need to be said, and you see these words received. You might even imagine looking into a mirror and seeing yourself and speaking the truth that you need to hear. Offering yourself words of love. Reminding yourself of this beautiful, beautiful journey that you're on. And then the elevator moves up to the third eye, just above the nose bridge again. And this is a deep blue and indigo, like the color of the ocean just after sunset. And you imagine here walking on a path that is yours. You might even imagine having to swash or having to cut through the forest as you carve this path. Feel the ground beneath your feet as you walk unabashedly with your authentic self, owning your creativity, bringing your gifts to the world, your unique talents. Feeling comfortable in being alone here. And then the elevator moves up to the crown, and you imagine a bright violet light that glows brighter with each breath. And here you imagine feeling connected to a higher power. And you realize that you're never really alone. You might feel connected to your ancestors, the ancestors of the land that you're on. Here in San Diego, it's the Kumeyaay. You might feel the wisdom of your past lives coming through. You might feel God's loving hand on your back, supporting you. The universe expanding and in direct alignment with who you really are. Angels watching over you, loving you. And now from this place, imagine all the lights coming together, filling your body with a bright white light. And as your body fills with bright white light, I want you to imagine something in your life that you wish to call in, that you wish to bring into your life. And from this place, imagine that having already happened. The home, already the walls around you, your wallet full of that which you need, the career that fuels your soul. Imagine it as if it's already here, because it is. And I'm going to offer to you, as you imagine this, to say the word Om with its full 3 syllables. And you can say this quietly in yourself. You don't need to say it out loud. It could just be reverberating throughout your body. Or you can say it out loud with me here. And it's 3 parts: A, O, And when you're ready, you open up your eyes. And you go on into the next stage of your day. Welcome back. So, thank you for allowing me to guide you through that. It's a deep practice of mine that I've been honing for a while. And at the beginning of the day is when you want to do that at what I call springtime, which is right at sunrise. And the next stage would be getting more personalized with, each chakra. You could really attach each thing that you wish to bring into your life. But what I just showed you here is a great and powerful start. You don't need to go any further than that. But if you wanted, there's more I could offer to that. is a very sacred practice. So I just want to share with you all, be discerning with who you share this with. For a lot of times, for a lot of people, for myself included, we keep our practices sacred. We keep our rituals sacred. And sometimes if we share them with people that aren't ready for them, it can be very disempowering. So be discerning with who you share this with. You don't need to share it with anyone. It's yours. And the last thing I'll offer is, ideally you want to do this at nighttime as well, right before you go to bed or when the sun sets, as we enter into winter time. The difference with the nighttime is very subtle. You do the exact same thing except one subtle twist. As you go through each chakra, you think about maybe moments in the day where you felt secure. You spoke words with integrity. You walked. You made choices. You took action that was in direct alignment with your path. You felt loved. You received love. And it becomes a powerful gratitude practice. Make sense? Okay. If you got something out of today, please let me know. Feel free to send me a message. You can send me an email at mark@markwguay.me. That's M-A-R-K. I think actually I can put my email address in the comments. I think I'm allowed to do that too, which is cool. So feel free to send me a message if you'd like. I think you can also send me a message here on Insight Timer. I'll do my best at responding to every message. And if you did receive benefit from it as well, please feel free to donate. Your donations are greatly received, and they allow me to bring this work to more people throughout the world. I absolutely love offering this work. There's many more live sessions that I plan on bringing to you. So if there's a topic you wish for me to cover, or one of my other meditations that you'd like for me to do live, I'm happy to be there for you. With love and deep, deep, deep respect, thank you for walking your path, and thank you so much for joining me here today. Take care.